Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Geeking Out podcast. I'm the Athletic Geek. My guest this week is somebody who I'm really excited to talk to again. Uh, Met him for the first time at Indianapolis at Squared Circle Expo and picked up some beautiful, beautiful artwork of his, including what you see on your screen now of the legendary Macho Man Randy Savage. My guest this week is artist AJ Moore. AJ, thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Um, so much like whenever I got to interview Eric Hodson for the first time, I'm kind of like in two of the things that I really love and like to talk about on this channel is pro wrestling and artwork, and both of you like have combined them really well. So it's kind of like a my first question is, when did you get interested in wrestling, and then from there, how did you get interested in becoming an artist?
Okay, wrestling and art kind of go around the same time, as long as I can remember. Maybe 4 years old. I remember watching wrestling. Back in the territory days. The Von Erichs we used to get because we used to watch our world class. And
Really
yeah, WCCW.
nice.
Yeah, man. So I know that dun 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 dun. So we used to watch that and put moves on each other. And now art came around the same time because if we weren't watching wrestling or kung fu or cartoons, I was drawing
Just
or catching or outside catching critters, animals and stuff.
um okay, so that's very so you were just always drawing, just always kind of had a knack for it, or was it something that you kind of you drew
I,
something one time and they're like, hey, you're good, and or like was it just
No, no. I mean, actually, I was quite terrible. But I just wanted to do it because I liked it. I love cartoons like Tom and Jerry and stuff like that, and Ninja Turtles and Bugs Bunny. So I just wanted to draw it, and it just like, oh, okay, you can draw. So keep drawing. So I was encouraged to keep drawing, and yeah, I just kept drawing.
so you mentioned you were drawing at such a young age. Were you fortunate enough at the school that you went to have an art program, or where you could kind of hone your craft, or was this something you just kind of had to experiment with on your own time?
Well, it was something that I had to just experiment with on my own. Just learning how to draw, just going to look at books and comics because I love comics. But there was no formal training that I remember. I really didn't take an art class until maybe seventh grade, and that's because it was a requirement.
Really?
Yes, yes, and then in high school, I took one in my senior year because it was a requirement, which turned out to be like fantastic. I loved it. Shout out to Miss Hammond, Mr. Pope, Miss Ridgway, and Coach Belter.
Awesome. Um,
Yes.
that's also it's interesting you say that, because I have a lot of friends locally who are artists, and you could ask one of them about them taking their art class, and they'll have a similar answer that you had, where they love their teachers helped inspire them. But then you have the others that say like their teachers held them back, their teachers held them back from their expression. So I'm happy to hear that you kind of got the former on that. You
It,
appreciated your art teachers.
yeah, I did. And in the high school and middle school level,
Awesome.
in middle school it was Miss Tiemann. That was her name.
Okay.
But once we got to the college level, there was there was a few other ones that were like, that's not real art. You went into
Right.
that category and, you're not going to make an A in this class. It's like, oh boy, here we go. But yeah, I mean, I didn't get that until college.
um Switching gears a little bit, you mentioned you grew up in the Von Erichs era.
Yep.
You grew up watching World Class.
Yep.
Um, Not trying to speak on any age or anything or be disrespectful, but unfortunately, I didn't get to experience that until YouTube and the WWE Network came about.
Right.
To go back, what was it like to experience such a groundbreaking promotion like World Class Championship Wrestling when
Um,
it's in its prime and not kind of with after the fact?
yeah, yeah, off of the network, right?
Hmm.
um, I mean, look, thinking back on it, because back then I was just watching wrestling. I didn't know it was something that was going to be, wow, that's the golden era or this or that. I was just excited to see like jacked up awesomeness, you know? These really strong looking dudes like fighting each other that, they looked like my action figures, man.
Right.
Um, yeah, I don't really keep up with age and time like that. I'm one of those weirdos. But I just let it be. It is what it is. But yeah, I know it now.
Right.
Now that I hear people talk about like, man, I wish I would have been around to see that, and like, oh, that was something special. I mean, I know it's special now, but back then it was just like, oh man, this is great. We need to watch this. It wasn't like it was anything. It was just wrestling. We watched wrestling, and then we were able to go to the live events.
I was just getting ready to ask you, were you ever blessed enough to go to the Sportatorium to see the Von Erichs?
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, we had here in San Antonio,
Okay.
Texas, we had the Freeman Coliseum, which is still there today.
Awesome.
They didn't tear it down. I'm so glad when they built the AT&T Center for the Spurs right next door to it. Um, they didn't tear it down, so it's still there. And they used to have matches there. And every blue moon, we used to somehow my mom would find a way to get us a ticket or two. And they would even do free things, 'cause we didn't have money to go to these things, man. We just didn't have money.
Oh,
But somehow there was always a way. And, so we got to go every now and then. And I remember seeing Kamala the first
nice.
time and being scared because he like licked his tongue out as we were right on the side. And yeah, he was huge. And One Man Gang was there and Kabuki. I mean, I remember it. The missing link. He used to spit
Nice.
the spit the green stuff out, and I was scared of them all because I was so little. I didn't understand. I was just like, oh no, And Kerry Von Erich was the first wrestler I ever met in my life.
How is Carrie? I was never lucky enough to get to meet Carrie. What's he like when to his
Yeah,
fans?
he was to me. I mean, maybe because I was a little kid, but I had a great experience meeting him. He was outside of a front of um, a small grocery store we used to have here
Okay.
called Handy Andy, and he had just came from the Coliseum. He was all sweaty. He was in his trunks and boots, no shirt or anything, and just chugging a gallon of milk right in front of the store. And he was really kind, and I was like, did you win? He's like, yeah, I won. Very humble,
Nice.
like, and like he put the claw on me, and he put the claw on me.
Awesome.
He was yeah, he was the first wrestler I ever met, and that's when I was like, okay, I love this. I love this. So when he had died, it was just I mean, I still have the newspaper article. I
Oh
still have
wow.
it. Yeah, like it really affected me. He was the first wrestler I ever met. And yeah, I thought he was great because I was a little kid looking for heroes. And he was one of them.
So I'm guessing because you met Carrie, he was your favorite. Did you get a chance to meet David or Kevin or any of the other Von
I
Erichs?
I haven't met any of them, man. None of them. And
Damn.
like, but I will be going to the Gathering. So I guess this is a plug for the Gathering. It's a show that's
Absolutely.
going on in July. And Kevin Von Erich, to no lie, Kevin Von Erich is one of the guests. So that'll be my chance to meet Kevin.
Yeah,
Um,
that'll be
so
awesome. It's and you
yes,
mentioned that it almost makes me want to, pretend I'm sick from work and get a plane ticket and go to the gathering because
Yeah, why not, man?
yeah,
Because I mean, just to put it into real life perspective, man. I mean, if there's somebody that you want to meet, like celebrity wise, wrestler wise, or whatever, and you have the opportunity to do it. Because my older brother, he chose to not meet Roddy Piper, and he met somebody from another TV show that I won't mention. And I was like, "Don't do that, Roddy Piper. That's your dude. Meet Roddy Piper." It's like, "Oh no, he's going to be at this next one." Nope, didn't happen because we
damn,
all know what happened. And now
yeah.
you didn't meet him.
I kind of tying this back to just where I got to meet you.
Hmm.
This wasn't of me choosing not to. This was just damn COVID. But I was really
Hmm.
excited about meeting Brody Lee originally at
Oh
Squared
man.
Circle, and then
Mm, yeah.
when it was supposed to happen back in August, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but just kind of getting back to wrestling in San Antonio. I'd be remiss if I asked.
Hmm.
Did you get to check out any of Jose Lothario, or was he when I was a
I.
kid watching the Shawn Michaels lead up to
Uh huh.
WrestleMania 12? They made it seem like Jose was like a god in San Antonio. Can you
Yeah.
confirm or deny that?
Well, I can't confirm nor deny because I didn't. And Jose, if you listen to this, man, don't take it the wrong way. I didn't really know him like that. Maybe he got in there just before we started watching, or but I didn't remember him like that. I just didn't. I remember the characters that were like missing Link and Gino Hernandez, and I mean I just didn't remember him, and I feel bad. It's like I feel like I should know him,
Right.
but it's like I don't know. I guess I was. I guess the other characters were more. I guess they just caught
That's
me
fair.
at that time. I guess he just didn't catch me because I don't remember it. That's why when he came out, I'm like, Jose, there. Why come I don't? I don't know. I guess I just got in. Maybe he had left that territory right at that time, and
Right.
I missed him. I mean, I remember Michael Hayes. I remember tons of wrestlers, man. Like, but I just don't remember Big Bubba. Jeez,
Um.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, you did mention that like in World Class, you felt that all like the Von Erichs and all them was like playing with your action figures.
Right.
Same decade, you got
Hmm.
Vince McMahon taking over the world, and he is taking that to a whole nother level.
Right.
Were
Yes.
did you become a WWF at the time fan? Did you kind of get into that whole scene, or were you kind of
Yeah.
were you a World Class loyalist, an NWA loyalist? Like, what was it like to
I,
really see the superheroes come into life?
well, see, here's the thing, man. Like, as a kid, I didn't know there was a difference.
That's fair. That's
I
actually a
didn't
fair
know
way of
there was a
saying it.
difference because at the time, like I said, we were really poor, and we had a tiny little black and white television. So I didn't know who was in color, or I didn't know. So by the time you know we got a color TV, World Class was pretty much done, and so everything was finally in vivid color, and it was amazing. So I didn't even know that it was another promotion, man. I didn't know NWA. I mean, I just knew, oh, Road Warriors is on this channel. I didn't know it
Right.
was a different. I know they had different music, theme music for the shows coming on, but I had no idea, man. Like, seeing, I just thought it was evolving. That's it. And and I remember questioning, like, how come I don't see Kerry on this? I see Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's awesome. And then I'm seeing Warrior. I'm like, where's my guys? Where's my other guys? But oh well. And then like suddenly you would start seeing them appearing, like, oh, Junkyard Dog is here now. And man, I had no clue that it was different promotions. It was beautiful. Ignorance was truly bliss, man. Because Ric Flair, like anybody could have showed up, you
Right.
know? It was just like, oh, I'm watching wrestling. This is cool. Roddy Piper, fabulous free birds. Like, I didn't know who was on what, man. Didn't give a damn.
Nice. Yeah. That's it's. especially nowadays when you really have, kind of the tribalism with oh, I love New Japan. Oh, New
Oh
Japan's
my
we want
goodness, it's
AEW.
ridiculous.
Oh, AEW sucks. WWE's where it's at. Oh no.
It's so ridiculous, man. Like I it drives me nuts. I mean, I understand people want to be loyal to some things, but stop being loyal to brands and be loyal to wrestling, man. Be loyal to the art. If it's not entertaining, then it's not entertaining.
Right.
But, you know, like enjoy wrestling. I mean, it used to have millions and millions of viewers, and now it's just the same 3 million viewers just looking at different programs. And then I turn, I look on online, and all we're doing as fans is fighting each other, saying how much this company sucks over that one, or I'm like, wait, what? I'm watching and I'm enjoying NWA, MLW, AEW, WWE, NXT. I mean, I watch as much as I can. I go to indie shows. I just love wrestling, man. It's not, I hate that people just try to divide it and then crap all on the other ones. And then they get mad if one of the wrestlers is like, says something good about another company. I'm like, don't you know he has friends over there? His wife is over there. Like, are you guys that dense? Like, do you really think they hate each other like that? Come on, man.
Right.
Just enjoy it because I mean, the business is changing. It's changing. It's always evolving. So
Right.
just enjoy it while we have it because it may evolve into something you don't like as much later. So enjoy it now and stop fighting over it.
That's a very, very good way of putting it. And I'm just as guilty of, maybe having being a little angry with certain products, but like that is a great perspective to have on pro wrestling.
But see, man, that's healthy. Being angry at certain things is healthy, man, because I get pissed. I get invested, man. It's good to be angry because it shows you have some passion. Like if you see something that just don't make sense, like why did they do that? Like what the heck? You should be mad at that because it was ridiculous. But just to be mad at something just because it's another company, that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Like, I want them to fail. I want them to fail. Like, why do you want somebody out of a job? Like, I don't
Right.
understand. Just don't watch it. And, it's like people wish so much bad on people, man. It's like they're just making a living, man. If it's not
Exactly.
entertaining, just don't watch it. But it's wrestling and some stuff like some matches. I'm like, okay, this person has go away heat. I'm out of here,
Yeah.
and I'll switch over to another channel. Well, I mean, I would switch back and forth NXT AEW. I'm not.
I like
Oh,
the fact
AEW.
I like the fact
Go ahead.
that they're on different nights now that I can actually
Yes,
watch NXT and be like,
yes,
okay, cool. Like
yes. Easier.
if it wasn't for the fact that I'm not enjoying Monday Night Raw currently, I'd be in heaven. Like this would be like this 11-year-old me's heaven. It's like you get Raw, then NXT, then
Yep.
AEW, you get Impact, you get
Yep.
SmackDown, you get whatever on a streaming service. You can watch Japanese wrestling on
Hmm.
a streaming service. You can watch
Yep.
Mexican wrestling. You can watch British wrestling on a streaming service. This should
Yeah.
be the greatest time for wrestling fan, but we're here trying to say, haha, AEW's ratings went down. Haha,
Yeah. That's so.
WWE lost money. Haha.
It's so ridiculous, right?
Um,
Oh my goodness, man. People putting the little memes of the dancing uh funeral guys and AW dead in the mud, love to see it. I'm like, wait, what?
yep.
We're we are going, okay, look, there's only so many of us wrestling fans left, man. There's only so everybody else is making fun of us. And here we are amongst ourselves, fighting, cussing at each other, saying, I hope you die. I see the most hateful,
Yeah, that
mean things to each other. And I'm like, we all like the same thing.
right.
We're the only people that like it. The rest of the world is like, man, y'all a bunch of dumbasses.
Oh, I just
So why are we fighting amongst each other?
the day right before we started recording this, um, and I posted a screen capture of it on my Instagram. I posted on Reddit, just whatever, it's fine. Mostly in wrestling, but I'll go to other areas. I'll talk about comic books. I'll talk about
Mhm.
NASCAR and everything, and this, that, and the other, whatever. Everything on Reddit, and someone just randomly sent me a message who I don't even know. Just randomly sent me a wrestling is fake.
Oh my
That's all. That's
goodness.
all it was. I put it on Instagram. It's just
Oh my
and
goodness.
my caption was when there's been a pandemic and you haven't told a wrestling fan that it's fake in over a year. It's like, well, but we're there. We
Oh
have
my
the heat from the
goodness, man.
from the outside. So it's
We
like
do.
let's stop hating on each other from the
It,
inside.
man, oh my goodness, man. Amen to that. I mean, I worked a lot in the entertainment business as far as I was an animator
I
and I
didn't
worked
know
on a lot
that.
of commercials. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
man. I've
that's a
been
new
doing
line
it.
of questioning that we're gonna have in this interview
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So what I'm saying is what I'm trying to get to is that I've seen how shows are made. I've seen how it's done. And spoiler alert, those shows that you watch, there's a writer, which means it ain't real either.
Right.
Dude, I met an actor. I met an actor. I stayed with him. He had an Airbnb, man. This was out in Florida, one of the shows I did. I was at an Airbnb and he was in, I was like, oh man, you're an actor? And he's like, yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, man, want to see some of my stuff? He was on Cops. He was an actor for Cops. Remember that show, Cops?
Yeah.
Bad Boys, Bad Boys?
Oh yeah.
He was in several episodes playing criminals. Yeah, it's
So
work.
so
It's work.
cops doesn't work. You heard it here first.
It's work, man. I mean, I'm not picking on them, but it's work. The Bachelor, it's entertainment,
hmm
guys. It's just certain entertainment is for certain people. Now, they take real elements like Cops, there's real elements that are put into it, but there's
That's
actors.
a whole can of worms I'm interested in now. Like what
Yeah,
part's
it's
real and what
man,
part's fake in cops now?
yeah, you don't know. And they blend it together really, really well. And people just want to dump on wrestling because it's not the coolest thing
Right.
for everyone anymore.
I
Man,
did that to and if she listens to this, she's gonna know I'm picking on her, and I love her, but I'm gonna, you know who you are when you
uh-oh.
hear this. But like, she kind of was the whole like, I don't understand how you can watch that knowing it's fake, and she's watching Game of Thrones, and I go, dragons aren't
Oh my,
real, right?
thank you. Dragons aren't real, man. There's no one with purple irises. There's no dragon queens born in fire. There's no Dothraki. Sorry. There's none of it. It's entertainment, guys. That's what makes it fantastic. It's entertainment, And I don't see why people do that. People like, that's not real, right? Like, well, have you seen Avengers?
That's not
Yeah.
real.
So you're telling me there's a scientist out there that if you piss him off, he turns into a green man. There's a guy from Asgard, a really handsome dude from Asgard, who drinks beers like I drink water, and he throws a freaking hammer around, hitting aliens that come from this portal. You're telling me all that's real, all of it. You believe it all, hook, line, and sinker. Like, come on, man. You got to enjoy something, and if and
Exactly.
it, why not just say, well, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Like just like some soaps or bachelors, that's not for me. I'm not gonna say that it's crap. It's just not for me. That's all. I've seen an episode of like, okay, well, this isn't for me.
Right. Like we're gonna go off on a tangent. Like I get a lot of heat going like, hey, Doctor Who's not for me. And I know like
Hmm.
that is like the crown jewel of like the
Oh, I
nerd
love
kingdom.
Doctor Who.
And I'm
I
just
love Doctor Who.
but it's just not for me. And I had I'll tell you this story when we get to recording because we got a lot more. Because I didn't know you worked in animation, all that. So we got a lot more to
Yeah.
cover now. But I'll tell you a story of like I've met some wonderful Whovians, and then I've met Whovians that are like
Oh
these
boy.
wrestling fans, kind of going to each other's throats. It's just like
Yeah.
you thought I like just committed
Yeah.
sacrilege by saying I'm not into Doctor Who, but
Yeah.
um,
Number 10 versus number 9, and or number 11's my doctor, and it's like, don't y'all know it's all the same character? It's just
technically
different
different
looks.
actor.
Come on now.
So you mentioned you got your start in art in high school.
Right.
did you pursue this in college? Were you trying to, become become an artist, or were you kind of studying something else? What'd you do when you went to college?
Uh, well, well, I mean, I never wanted to be an artist at all. I wanted to be a vet.
Okay.
Art was just my, one of my passions, and I was good at it because I did it all the time. But I originally I was in a program to be a veterinarian.
Okay.
Um, and that didn't transpire because as I got further into the program, and um, I was under the misconception that everything was happy and everything was great, and I'm going to get to work with dogs and cats, and this is awesome. And it is awesome, but a different type of awesome. And I couldn't handle giving people bad news. And I didn't understand the reality of it. And so once understood the reality of this, like, it's not all, oh, come on in and play with the puppies all day. Sometimes it's like, well, he's not going to make it, y'all. And
Mm.
people breaking down crying in front of you. And I'm like, wait a minute. Whoa, whoa. I need to go down a different path. So art didn't require any of that.
Right.
So I switched, and shout out to all the vets out there. It just wasn't for me, like I said. But art was a totally different thing. I could just express my artistic feelings and all that, and it could get someone else to feel some kind of way, whether it's happy, sad, or whatever, got you through a tough time. So art is just how I went. It's just a path that just kind of chose me, I guess.
Very interesting way of putting it. And that's kind of I never like. I mean, I know exactly what you're saying when with your feelings on being a vet. It's just kind of
Mhm.
it's different actually kind of really getting to hear it, out loud. It's like, yeah, that's 'cause
Yeah.
I love my dog, and,
Hmm.
I love everybody else's dog and everything, and it's just
Yeah,
like,
man.
yeah, I couldn't be the one to tell somebody, yeah, your dog or your cat or whatever's not gonna be able to make it, or it's hurt too bad, or
Yeah, it's
yeah.
hard. I mean, I've seen a lot of different things from, dogs that were injured and from all kinds of things, and it's just like, I don't think this is for me. Um, yeah, it just wasn't for me. But I mean, because I love animals so much, so it just seemed like a natural path to take. But then it was a bit more than that, you know.
Right.
I had to read the fine print because I thought it was just all like flowers and this is going to be fun and I'm gonna be out here with horses and gorillas and like, no, you're not like that.
Right. Um, so you pursue art, you know, just 'cause, you mentioned you went into animation. Like, what led you to
Mhm.
kind of go from art to animation? What led you down the path of like kind of working in the television business and the commercial business?
Well, it went hand in hand with art because the from drawing comic books and drawing cartoons when I was a kid, it was all because I was watching cartoons or reading comics. So it just went into animation. The first thing I ever animated was a little Tom and Jerry flip book. I animated Jerry walking along, and then Tom tries to hit him with a bat or something stupid.
Nice.
It was a little flip book that I made, and so it just the art just transitioned into animation, and then there was 3D animation. So I learned that, and that's where I went into the industry as an animator. So I was doing 2D, the flat stuff like
Right.
the cartoons you see now, Fairly Odd Parents and whatnot, and then I was doing the 3D stuff that you see with like Shrek and stuff. Even though I
Okay.
didn't work on Shrek or Fairly Odd Parents,
Right.
I'm just using those as an example for people who don't understand
Right. Right.
2D
Right.
versus 3D. Because, I mean, I take that for granted that I know what that is, and not everyone knows what that is.
Um. So what I'm being a fan of cartoons and just kind of, seeing how much work, at least kind of from like the little specials on how much work goes into making a
Hmm.
cartoon. It's also got to be a very competitive business to get work in.
Oh yeah.
What is it like, kind of just essentially being a freelance animator? Because that's kind of like the other side of the whole. This sounds like it'll be a fun. You mentioned the vets. Could just be playing with the
Mm-hmm.
puppies and having a good day, but then
Hmm.
it's like, well, I haven't worked in 3 months. What's it like, kind of being out
Yeah.
there, like in the, I don't know if like I want to
Wow.
say like the
It's
shark infested waters is the right way of putting it, but I mean it feels like a
yeah.
cutthroat
It
business.
it is. I mean, there's a lot of highs and there's definitely a lot of lows. Because I mean, being good at what you do. Let's see, how do I say it? Ah, hell, I'm just gonna say it. In this business, being good at what you do doesn't mean shit. And I just gotta say it like it is because it could get you somewhere, but it could mean absolutely squat. Because I found out that, oh, if you don't know this person, or if you don't know that person, or if you don't schmooze this person, or go drinking with this person, or sleep with this person, whatever it might be, chances are you're not going to get to a certain place sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. So it wasn't about how good I was. They look right at my demo reel and say, oh, no, nah, you're not good enough. It doesn't matter. It could be somebody whose work at that point was way better than mine. That person still ain't getting hired.
Right.
It was all about, it was coming down to who you knew. Like the jobs I was getting was through people. Like, well, I know a guy. Okay. So it was nepotism. And it was a lot of nepotism. And so, I mean, I had so many rejections, man. I had rejections from all the major companies. And one of the nicest companies that rejected me the nicest every time was Pixar. They were the nicest about it because they would say, what I needed to work on. Um, Even though when I worked on it, it didn't matter. There was something
Right.
else now. So I mean, you'll be doing that for 10 years if you're like me. But some of it, some companies had issues. Some company were trying to meet quotas. It was all kinds of things, man, that I didn't know. So doing it freelance was a whole nother ball of worms because there's you have to build that trust because people are like, well, how do I know this guy isn't going to screw me? So it was good having a team of animators, artists, and when I was doing video games, developers, you get to work with the developers to make video games, which was fun. Working for the government, doing animation for the government, that was
Wow.
short-lived. Doing animation for the medical industry, which had to be very precise because they were teaching students with the stuff that I was making. That's you and me, man. That's your loved ones. If I get it
Right.
wrong and the students are learning from an incorrect video, they could kill people or hurt people or whatever. So it was very, very stringent. And so there's a lot of work to be had, but that top tier work goes to a certain selected few, just like voice acting. It's like, oh, well, I want to be a voice actor. That's fun.
Hmm.
But chances are they're going to cast an actor, a big time actor. Gone are the days where Mel Blanc is Heathcliff and Chuck Jones. I mean, those days are few far now, man. It's changed a lot.
It's funny you
Um,
mentioned voice acting because I remember before the pandemic hit, I went to a comic book convention, and
mhm,
probably my favorite voice actor is a gentleman by the name of Steve Bloom. Um,
mm.
he's done He did Spike on Cowboy Bebop, which is my favorite anime.
Okay.
But he's like kind of like he does voices everywhere. Like if you watch a cartoon, you're bound to hear him on something. Whether it may be like a background
Mhm.
character, but you're bound to hear his voice. He does
Yeah.
Wolverine. Play any video game, you'll hear his voice.
Yes.
And he was talking about like he has this extensive demo reel of voicing Wolverine and the Green Goblin and voicing,
Mm,
all these different anime characters, and he's
yeah.
talked about
Wow.
uh, voicing Killer Croc in the Arkham games, and he's talked about like there's times he'll audition for a role and he'll get called back like 5 times, and then at the very last minute, like they'll go like, "We like you, we're gonna hire you." In the very last minute, um,
Mhm.
this big time movie star just came in, and we're gonna go with him.
Yeah, man, it's hard. Like even with someone, what you said, like what you said with a a huge portfolio like him can just be derailed by a class A celebrity. Like, oh wait, never mind. We just booked Tom Cruise, or it's all
Yeah,
right. Stay at home, man. Thanks for coming.
yeah.
Um, but it's the nature of the business, man. I mean, I don't want to discourage anyone, but just know what you're getting into and just have thick skin and just be ready. Just be ready, man, because um, if you're prepared, then you're never surprised.
That's a very good way of putting it. We talked about all the negativity associated with an industry like animation. What are some of the things that you've been able to work on that have kind of made you be able to go like, you know what? Damn, that's why I do that. Other than being able to make a living, obviously, but like
Hmm.
I got to work on this project, and I feel not only rewarded financially, but you know, this is it. What helps drive you to be an artist, an animator? What are some of those projects?
Well, when I hear people talk about it, because if I hear someone talk about something that I was part of and what it meant for them, and now they have some nostalgic moment, that's worth all the stress, because I'm like, okay, well, I did something for somebody, even though it was a lot of red tape and hoops jumping through, and I mean, I don't want to be like it's just a complete negative experience because it's not.
Right.
It's very rewarding. Um, and you see people receive things on in different ways. It's like, man, that was so cool the way this happened, and like or the scenery or the landscaping, and that was so nice. I love the backgrounds, and you're like, oh man, I did that. Yeah. Somebody, or if you see somebody do some fan art from it, um, which is awesome. Like, wow, somebody did some fan art from something I was part of. It's like, that's cool. So yeah, it's rewarding, man. It's rewarding. I mean, you have to be in it, just like most things. You have to be in it for the right reasons. If you're just in it thinking I'm gonna get rich, okay, that's probably not the best way to go into it. But I mean, just be in it for the right reasons. Like if I want to just enjoy what I do, I want to have fun. I love creating stuff, or I love coding, or whatever. If you're in it for the right reasons, then you won't have that much of a problem.
um, what are some of the stuff that maybe you could point out that you've worked on that people can maybe check out? Do you know of anything that you're allowed to talk about right here that we could maybe?
Let me see. I mean, I've done a ton of commercials, man. For Time Warner, for Capitol Records, we did some NBA basketball commercials, Doritos commercials.
Nice.
Um, let's see. I was building some assets for the Killzone game series.
Okay.
Um, let's see. I remember going out to LA, and I was helping John K. John K. was the creator, the original creator of Ren and Stimpy,
Gotcha.
and he was switching over from paper to from traditional media to digital media. So I was out there helping him with that, helping for that transition. But the project was the Tenacious D with Jack Black,
Okay.
and so there was some animation in that, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Um, yeah, there's a lot of stuff, man.
Um,
and and then comics, indie comics, and then I write comics. I was writing kids books for myself, and so man, there's a ton of stuff I'm proud of. It
uh,
wasn't necessarily exciting, but
right.
some of it, but I'm proud of a lot of it, especially when I would go into like a store or whatever and they have the TV on and I see one of my commercials, like, "Ha, there it is." And I see people laughing at it because it's a comedy commercial, and I see people laughing at the animation. I'm like, man, that's awesome. I made somebody's day.
you just mentioned John Kay,
Yeah.
and he's kind of an infamous figure these days. But
Yes, he is.
I'd be remiss if I asked what was your experience like working with John Kay.
Woo. Um, it started out rough, because he has his way of doing things. Um, but he warmed over to me. He warmed over to me, because I was warned. I was warned about him before I went there, and but he warmed over to me in a short time, and I mean, he was great. He was funny. He took me out to the swap meet. He loved to go to swap meets at the time. What's up, John? If you listening to this, but he probably don't even remember now. Well, no, he does. Every time he sees me, like, hey man, tell your mom I said hello. He has a deep voice, you know. Um, and he took me to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
Okay.
He took me to the spot where he wrote the Happy Happy Joy song. Um, he showed me all his original Ren and Stimpy drawings, and yeah, I mean George Liquor. I mean he gave me all his free stuff. It was a great experience I had with him, man. I learned a lot of stuff from him, and I know people always throwing shade on him, and I get it because of all the stories and stuff, and
Right.
it's just I think John, and of course it sounds like I'm defending him, but and I am. He was ahead of his time, and people just didn't understand what he wanted to do at that time. He wanted this to be a certain way, and it was like no. And and John, what me and him have in common, we push back, man. We don't like to just go along with something. If it feels wrong, then we're gonna push back. And unfortunately, at a studio, that doesn't work.
especially
That
one
doesn't work.
especially one like Nickelodeon.
Yeah, it doesn't work there. But man, he was great. He was great, man. He was funny. Um, yeah, I mean, he took me around LA. That was my first time in LA. I was so young. Like I look back at the pictures and I was like young and skinny. Um, but yeah, he was great. John was great.
um so I first became familiar with you through your wrestling artwork.
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, uh, since there wasn't really any independent wrestling shows, or there wasn't a lot of comic cons or swap meets or anything of that nature, High Spots started doing their own virtual gimmick tables with different guests and different artists, and it became a good way for me to spend nest egg money while staying at home. But
Yes.
on the flip side of that, saw a lot of really cool artwork from yourself, Eric Hodson,
Yeah.
Millennium, uh,
Hmm.
Schomburger, all this great artwork. How did you become? Well, first of all, what made? Were you just drawing wrestlers freehand and freelance and just going, "Here's my wrestling art"? Did High Spots know you and come to you saying, "Hey, we're having Sammy Guevara on. Can you make a piece?" How did you become familiar with High Spots?
Well, first of all, High Spots helped me a great deal. So thank you, High Spots, because during the pandemic, they came to my rescue. But how it happened was I did their show WrestleCon a few years ago,
I was probably at that
and
one and maybe talked to you there too. I don't know.
yes,
Was it New
if you
York?
were at the yes, it was New
I
York.
probably did talk to you there.
Yeah, I was, and if you didn't see me, it's because Ric Flair's table was blocked. His line was blocking my table. But but I did it there. That's where I met everyone, and um, one of the ladies that works there, her wrestling name is Hayden Ramsey.
Okay.
She's a indie wrestler. So look up Hayden Ramsey. She's a badass. She just got a championship belt because she just came off an injury and now she's wrestling again and she got a championship title. So she's a badass. Um, she is working with them, and she kind of pitched me to them like, hey, he's an artist and we might want to use some of his work. So thank you, Hayden Ramsey. And, Mike was like, the guy that runs it, Mike, he's like, okay. And so they tried out with Bret Hart first. And they had sent me a picture of the Hitman, like holding my art. And I'm like, oh, snap. That's my favorite wrestler, Bret Hart. And he's like holding something of mine. That's cool. And then it led to Darby Allin and Inner Circle. And they just started licensing several pieces, Adam Page, a lot of my AEW stuff. And um, yeah, man, it was a life. It was like a lifeline they threw out to me. So I did their WrestleCon this year in Tampa, and I'm gonna be at the one next year in Dallas. So
Awesome.
yeah, High Spots is awesome.
Um, just on a complete sidebar, once again, the streak continues when I interview somebody related to wrestling. They're a Bret Hart fan, and I'm a Shawn Michaels fan, so I'm
All
always,
right,
I'm
let's
all,
do battle.
yeah, that's it. That's it. Always interviewing the interviewing the enemy, so to speak. Now Brett's awesome. I didn't meet Brett at that convention, but like I walked
hmm
by him, and
hmm
I was walking by him to get in Shawn Michaels' line, ironically. And I
Oh
just
my
kind of go like
goodness.
I wave at him. I'm like, hey, Mr. Hart, how you doing? He goes, hey, buddy, how you doing? And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then like later on that night, he gets attacked at the Hall of Fame. I'm like, oh
Yes,
dear, no.
that idiot that attacked him. Yeah, I'm glad like Cash like gave him a five knuckle shuffle.
And Rousey.
Um,
Uh,
yeah.
but going back to what you said earlier, like that was me. Like I gotta make sure I'm already gonna be here. I gotta make sure to get to Shawn Michaels because who knows
Yeah.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah. Oh, okay. Good Shawn Michaels story. Back when I was little, we went to this wrestling event. It was they something they had here in San Antonio. But Shawn Michaels is native here, of course. She's a San Antonio product. But Shawn Michaels was going to be. It's after he won the belt with Jose, who I couldn't remember in world class. And Sean was going to be signing some autographs. So we lined up like, oh snap, he's not my favorite wrestler, but I would like to meet him. I would like to meet the guy who beat Brett. He's got to be awesome if he beat Brett, right? So we went to meet Sean, and Sean was really nice, man. He was really kind, like to us. Now, of course, we're kids, so I mean, I gotta take that as what it is. But he's like, hey, man, you want to hold the belt? And I was like, really? He let me hold the belt and we took pictures. And this was free, y'all. This wasn't you pay $50. Like it was free. And it was a line of people, man. And he took time with everyone. And I was like, can I touch your arm? His arms were big because I always saw Shawn Michaels and Brett as some of the smaller wrestlers. I
Right.
thought they were smaller compared to Hogan and Warrior and some of the other giants, Sid and Diesel, Razor Ramon, but his arms were huge, man. I was like, holy, his arms were huge, and I was looking, I'm like, wow, it's really you. It's really you, but he wasn't. He wasn't like what I thought he was gonna be like. Because as a kid, I don't know. I don't know that they're hamming it up for TV. I didn't know how he was gonna be. I didn't
Right.
know was he going to be a jerk or not, because he was Shawn Michaels. I saw him as a jerk. His character was a jerk, like super kicking people through glass, and I was like, oh
and
man, this
beating
dude's
and
probably going to
beating
be
your boy
mean.
in overtime.
Yeah, man. And the thing is, like, I wasn't even mad at him for that because it was a good match. Like the thing, Shawn Michaels was never my favorite by any stretch of the imagination, and I couldn't stand him, but loved all of his matches, man. Loved them all. The ones with Brett, the lights out ladder match, him and Taker, him and Flair. I just loved all his work. He was never my dude because of Brett, man. Like I couldn't the hitman.
And here's the fight. I kind of had to razz you a little bit, but like going back to what we were talking about, like with the tribalism, it's like Sean and Brett are cool now. They hugged in the middle of the ring. Why do we still have to beat each other's
Yeah,
throats?
yeah, kayfabe is just dead and gone. Because I mean, but see, like I could dislike Shawn Michaels in a good way because I disliked him because I was supposed to.
Right,
You see,
right,
like they were nemesis, him and Brett. So I'm not gonna love the enemy of my homie.
absolutely.
So it was a perfect. It wasn't like a personal thing. You know what I mean? Just like Hogan versus Warrior. I'm like, oh snap, who do I choose? It was one of those hard things because they were both faces, but and Brett, I was already on Brett, so it didn't matter if he turned heel or not.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, because back then Shawn Michaels was like, the sexy boy, which is a great theme song. But I didn't get it. I was just like Brett. I didn't get this. Okay, this guy thinks he's cute. I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. I've got the looks. It drives a girl. Wow, the music. I'm like, okay, whatever. Brett, please take care of this dude. Please handle this guy. It was one of those things. Like,
Right.
like I wanted, like, because I didn't like pretty boys and like I didn't like that stuff. So I'm like, no, man, get him, Brett,
See,
get him.
I put up with that because the first time I saw Shawn Michaels, he jumped off a ladder, and I thought that was cool because I'm like, I want the guy to win who jumped off the ladder. Razor Ramon's not
yeah,
doing any of that.
yeah,
That's
I'm
not
shocked.
cool. Sean's jumping off of it. That's
Yeah,
cool.
one of the awesome Shawn Michaels things with that same match was when Razor was like going up the ladder, like Shawn Michaels jump kicked the ladder, and like the whole damn thing fell. I thought that was awesome, man. And like, and here's another thing, man. This shows my wrestling forgiveness and versatility. I was rooting on Shawn Michaels a lot, just not when he was against Brett.
That's fair.
I
That's
rooted
fair.
on him a lot, and he wasn't even my favorite wrestler. But it's just if you entertained me, then you got love. That's just the way it was. You just weren't my favorite. That's it. Because I
um.
had a lot of people that were up there. Mr. Perfect. I
Oh
love
yeah.
Mr. Perfect, man. My goodness. Jake the Snake, Legion of Doom, Junkyard Dog. Man, I loved these. I loved wrestling, man.
Who are some of your
I loved
favorites
it.
now? Because you mentioned, like me, you watch a
Now,
lot of wrestling. Who are some of
mhm.
the people that you're really starting to dig in this current era?
Oh well. See now, like wow, it's a lot, man. Okay, let's start with I love me some Darby Allin. I love Adam Page. Let's start with AEW. Adam Page. I mean, I've always liked Eddie Kingston, so that that
Fuck
that
yeah,
goes
Eddie
without saying.
Kingston's.
Let me see. Thinking of age, just AEW. Sammy Guevara. I love Sammy Guevara, man. Santana and Ortiz. I loved them when they was LAX, and I got to meet those guys. They were really, really kind and gracious. On the women's side, I'm enjoying the heck out of Britt
Oh
Baker,
hell
man.
yeah.
She's like come so far. Like I remember her first starting, and I was like, oh man, no, no. And now it's like, yes, yes, more Britt Baker, more DMD. Um, I love Sheeta. Sheeta was awesome. I remember when she like a Sheeta moment where she like did a Falcon arrow to Nyla Rose, dude.
Oh yeah.
Boom! Shout out to Nyla Rose because I like Nyla Rose. People always giving Nyla Rose crap, but I like Nyla Rose.
She really showed how
And
cool kind of going squared circle, like kind of going to the after party and hanging out with everybody. Like
yeah, man, Nyla Rose is cool.
much love to Nyla Rose.
Yeah, so in AEW, those are some of my people. I love Jungle Boy. Moving into other things, Nick Aldis. Okay, now I'm just gonna start throwing them out. Nick Aldis, I love Nick Aldis, dude. Nick Aldis is just my heel. Even I always want him to get beat. Like I watched him and Trevor Murdoch, and that had me invested, man.
Yeah,
I
they're doing
wanted
that was
NWA
good.
Power is my favorite, and Thunder Rosa. I
She's
love Thunder Rosa,
she
man.
is it's kind of 1A and 1B with her and Brett right now as far as women female wrestlers for me, but I mean like
Yes,
Female or male, they're the match of the year so far for me. Their match on
Yeah,
Dynamite.
yeah, Thunder Rosa's great. Red Velvet. I just recently met Red Velvet and Thunder Rosa at the last show I was at just a day ago.
Nice.
At the River City Wrestling Show in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Hope to see you guys there next year. But Thunder Rosa was there and Red Velvet was there. They were really, really, really kind, very gracious. Let's see. I love Camille in NWA, man. Camille is like this. Well, her last name is Brickhouse. Camille Brickhouse. You know, she is that. She's like statuesque. And I love Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, and Sasha tore it down, man. Bailey. I got so Finn Balor is one of my favorites of today. Him and AJ Styles.
So glad
Um,
AJ's had this run to finally kind of put the stamp on how great
yeah,
we like. I mean, like we in the kind of the internet community has known about how great AJ was for years, and now it's like the world knows.
yeah, man. Like it's just I have a lot of wrestlers that I like, and just because I didn't name you today, that don't mean I don't like you. I'm just shooting them off, you know, like out of my head. And I like Roman Reigns, even though people always give it a mess. I like Roman Reigns, and I love this new head of the table thing. He looks mean, he looks tough. Yeah, it's just man, I just love it, man. So those are some of my favorites. It's probably a long laundry list. I could keep going.
Oh yeah, that's what's great about wrestling is like you start going on this who's your favorite wrestlers, and then you'll just somehow like, oh, I gotta mention this guy, oh, I didn't mention Tommy Dreamer, I gotta mention Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer's great, and
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, like the Street Profits, man. I'm so entertained by them. We won't smoke. We won't smoke. It's just like I'm so entertained, man. It's like when they come Montez Ford jumping like 80 feet in the air to do a frog splash. I mean, I just love watching wrestling, man.
um so you pandemic is seems to be seem to be heading out of that. We're back to
Hmm.
conventions, we're back to independent wrestling,
Right.
we're back to, getting back to normal.
Hmm.
And, a lot of the names that you just mentioned were at the recent convention where I got to meet you.
Hmm.
And now that you're getting to do that more and you're getting to show off that artwork, how many of those names, how many of those Jake the Snakes, those Britt Bakers, those Darby Allens have been able like to come up and go like, get to talk to you and based on the artwork you've done for them? How many good
Quite a
experiences have you had with that?
quite a few of them, man. Just recently, Chris Adonis, aka Chris Masters, the masterpiece. I got to talk to him out there at Square Circle, and he
Great
was
guy.
very, yes, man. He's such a cool dude, man. And it's like, and this is the thing about wrestling. Like, if you just looked at him and his character, well, him, Chris Adonis. Look,
Right.
I don't like saying character, but if you look at Chris Adonis, you'll be like, man, I don't know about that dude. But
Hmm.
then when you meet him, it's like, holy crap, man, that dude is cool as, And
Yeah.
I was just, you chatted with Mark Henry just a few days ago, and just very, very kind. And I got to meet a lot of them. And Mark Henry was nice enough to sign something for me. He's like, yeah, let me sign that for you. So then you could sell out for hundreds of dollars. It's like, I was like, I mean, I never sell their autographs. I keep everything they give me, man. I have this right here of Jazz. Jazz gave me that.
That's awesome. They won't be able to
And
see that, but that's still really cool.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
you
photo of Jazz, yo.
you saw. I got to see it, and I got to see it's cool. And just take my word for it,
Yeah.
it is cool.
Yeah, Jazz and Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa talked to me for a while. Red Velvet talked to me. There's quite a few of them that I was fortunate enough to meet just because I was drawing. Um, and then sometimes they just walk by and say, "Yo, what's up, man?" Or like
Right,
Darby Allen, he was on the move, so he didn't stop to talk, but he kind of slowed down and say, "Hey, what's up?" And then he had to keep going,
right.
and Kane did the same thing. Kane was a giant dude, like
Oh yeah.
jeez, dude is a giant.
Just Did you see the guy walk in with the giant car hood for Kane?
But yeah,
The
yes,
with the giant race car hood.
yes.
I don't know when I'm gonna
Kane,
get the chance to sell that story again, but we were out. I just at Squared Circle Expo, a guy walked in, just walking into this somewhat crowded area with a giant race car hood with Kane on it.
yeah, yeah. I was like, dude, how'd you even get that in here? But like, yeah, like I mean, Kane is like one of those dudes. Like he's so big. If he wasn't a wrestler, what would he been doing?
Exactly.
Like I can't imagine going to the
Being a mayor,
grocery
apparently.
store.
Being a mayor,
Yeah,
apparently. You
yeah.
know.
Well, now, but I mean, yeah, I mean, he's one mayor that you don't want to mess with. But like, would he really be bagging my groceries at the grocery store? Like, what would Kane be doing if he
Yeah.
wasn't a wrestler? Sometimes I think about that when I see like really huge people like Kevin Nash, and like, man, if he wasn't a wrestler, what would that dude be doing? They're giants, man. They can't hide nowhere. It's like, and they're big, big. Like,
Right.
I mean, I'm 6 foot, but I'm looking up. I'm literally looking up. But it's great, man.
So, be remiss if I didn't talk about this, but you have your own YouTube channel, but it has nothing to do with wrestling or artwork or comic books or animation. It's something.
Nope.
It's one of your other passions that you had as a child. Tell us about your YouTube channel and what you do on it.
My YouTube channel is called It's Nature, y'all. It's Nature, y'all. Uh, and my brother comes out with me and he films me on my nature adventures. And I catch all kinds of critters. I identify a lot of different plants. I just love nature. I love hiking. I love the outdoors. Critters living in Texas, South Central Texas, is just a whole plethora of critters that I can, you know, get into and discover. And so it's nature y'all is about that. I'm showing people things that are in their world that they may not even know existed, or they never even thought about. Or why is that significant? This Egyptian goose, and why is this? Why would I care about a goose? And here's why. And so it's just really, um, and we try to do it as if we are just like we used to do it. Like I don't want to just be over educating, like, and the duck actually lays eggs that takes 30 days to hatch. Do 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 do. No, it's more like, yo, you see this duck right here? It just took a dump, but so next to that dump, that's the egg, and the egg's gonna hatch in like 30 days. And I talk as if it's just me being me, just out there.
Right.
That's the way I've always done it, and I like sharing it with the whole world. And now I have people saying, "Oh, wow, I never knew that. We don't have that here in Japan," or because I don't
Really,
take nothing for granted.
that's
Because
cool as hell. The people from so far away are
yes,
seeing that.
yes, and people in Australia. Um, Shout out to Andy in Australia with his Woodline Creative School in Australia, and he has his kids watching my videos, and they're learning about stuff, learning about snakes, because I catch a lot of snakes. But it's just great because they don't have those snakes there. And so what might look like, oh, look at that silly squirrel. Somebody's like, what is that? That's a squirrel. He's annoying. He eats nuts and acorns and he digs up my garden. And some people have never seen a possum or a raccoon before. And it's just, and I can incorporate my art because I have animation within the stories or the adventures, showing you different things happening and whatnot. So please check it out. It's
Yes,
nature, y'all.
I will put a
And
link in the description box below.
yes, and please share it. Um, you know, it's definitely different than what you're used to with nature shows because we sing. I dance. I just do whatever comes to my mind, pretty much. And yeah, you're getting 100% me. So
Yeah, well, I'll definitely include a link to that, and I'll definitely start checking more of that out. In addition to all the wrestling and the
please do.
the reading and the comic books and the it's
Yes.
baseball season right now, so got to catch a little bit of that, and
Yep.
it's racing season, so I got to catch some races. But
Hmm.
I'll definitely make time for that because I always like the I was like Steve Irwin, because he just entertained me. Because you could
Yes.
tell he was being himself. He wasn't being like monotone. Like Steve Irwin and Jeff Corwin were like my dudes growing up. So it's like something
Yes.
like that would be get me interested in that type of stuff again to want to check it out.
Yeah, man. And the thing is, like, um, it the whole thing, representation matters. It's showing kids who may not think this is for them that, oh, I can do that too. I'm not too much of a nerd. There's somebody else that kind of looks like me that's,
Right.
that's doing nature stuff, because there's not too many people that look like me doing what I'm doing and that light. um I'm not saying I'm the first or any kind of pioneer, but there's not many.
Right.
And so it's just another thing to encourage someone else young that may be feeling like they're a weirdo. So if you are, just know that I'm a weirdo too. I'm just a bigger weirdo,
Right.
and doing what I love. Because a lot of people put up walls. They're like, "Well, I can't do that stuff." Everybody I see doing that stuff, none of them look like me. So that's not really for people like me. And then a lot of people are just afraid of animals, man. They're terrified of this or that or insects. And if you could see somebody who's handling it, that's enjoying, like, look, you see, this is this, and this is why you should never do that, or this is why this is that. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I'm never going to pick up a snake, but I may not kill it next time.
Right.
You might just sweep it away with a broom. You know, I might have saved a snake's life. Who knows? I hope.
We could talk for hours, but
Hmm.
uh and we might have you back on here to just continue to share convention stories and talk about
Oh yeah,
wrestling and all that stuff.
have
So there's
have tons.
we got a lot to talk about, but I really appreciate you taking the time to come here and do this. I know you're very busy, and kind of seeing all all the different uh I don't really know the right. Trying to think of the right turn of phrase for like all the different pots you got going.
Yeah.
You're a very busy guy, so I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. But if someone who isn't familiar with your artwork or anything that you've done would like to look you up, check out your art, maybe buy some art, please
Hmm.
buy some art because it's great, and especially if you're a wrestling fan, definitely get some of that. But where can they find you? You mentioned your YouTube channel, but where can they find
Hmm.
stuff for your art or just get in contact with you?
If you look uh, under artist AJ Moore, you have to put the word artist in front of it, else you'll get every other AJ Moore but me. So artist AJ Moore, and you'll find me on DeviantArt. You'll find me on Instagram, Pinterest. I have a Twitter. I have a Twitch stream under artist AJ Moore where I draw a lot of these wrestling pieces live, and you can watch me draw, because a lot of people don't believe I'm drawing them. So you'll see me start one from zero to finish. It takes a couple hours. So artist AJ Moore.
Okay.
That's how you find me.
Yeah, definitely look them up. And uh, last question, real quick.
Hmm.
I know it's hard to ask this of an artist because they put a lot into a lot of their different pieces, but do you have any particular piece that you've drawn, wrestling wise, that you're the
Hmm.
most proud of?
I would say, that is a tough one. Maybe the Roman Reigns piece, because I have his tribal tattoo in there on his arm, and one of his cousins, he had saw it in Los Angeles, and it was a one-on-one with he and I, and he was telling me how much that meant to him that I took the time to get that right because that's of his people, and cultural things is very important to me. And so the fact that a Samoan looked at that, he saw it, he looked at it, he's like, man, you did that right. Thank you for being sensitive to my culture and getting it to that meant a lot to me, man, because he was Samoan, and he appreciated that I took the time to uh, not half-ass something from his culture. That meant a lot to him and his family and his people, and that just made me feel great, man. So the Roman Reigns piece is probably up there as probably number one because I just like how it came out.
Awesome. Definitely, definitely check out that piece on his Instagram. I'll have links to all of his social media in the description box. And AJ, thank you again. This was great. I'm glad we got to do this, and I
Me
hope to
too.
see you at a convention again sometime soon. Maybe we'll be able
Yeah,
to maybe we'll be able to find something like this to work on again. But I really appreciate you taking the time from your busy schedule to do this, and definitely,
likewise.
definitely, definitely check this gentleman out. He's great, and check out his YouTube channel. You might learn something, and even though it's not really what I cover on here, it's pretty interesting channel. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of pro wrestling, but from the world of comic books, gaming, anime, all things geek culture. Follow me on my social media pages as well. Facebook.com/athleticgeeka9, Twitter athletic_geeka9, Instagram athleticgeeka9. And if you would like to help this channel out financially, I am on Patreon, patreon.com/athleticgeeka9. You have commissions for sale on your pages, or are they any commissions or anything like that?
Well, you can contact me for that,
Okay.
for any commissions, because those are specialized pieces. If you wanted something like, hey, I want Ric Flair from 1980 something, when he fought Sting. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I can do specialized stuff too.
Okay. Definitely. And it's well worth your time to do that. So definitely get a commission if you're wanting commission. I can't recommend them enough. And thanks again, AJ. And we'll see
All right,
everybody
you're
next
welcome.
time.
Thank you.